Can I ask you one last question before we close out? Since you're the boxing expert,
I'm not a boxing expert. I just like boxing and watching.
You're the most well versed on our boxing platform. Why do people think Teofimo Lopez is the best in 135?
Well, I spoke about it in the last one. Like, I don't think he's better than.
I was confused because like the comments we were getting, like, well, those they are fans. Definitively know he's better, and I was like,
those are strong fans, and I understand how that's going. You always gonna ride with.
But you gotta be realistic. I ride with the Bulls, but like when Derrick Rose and them was playing against like fucking OKC, back then, I'm like, all right. Like, yeah,
I spoke about it though. I gave T.O. his
even
credit.
y'all back
I said
then.
when T.O. is mentally locked. We've talked about a lot of things over time that he might not be locked in. When he's locked in, he has speed, he has power, he can box very smart. He's been boxing all of those guys that we like. They've all come up together and
he took all hard fights.
Yes, and he's beaten the man. He's beaten Lomachenko. He's beaten the last guy he just beat at 140. I don't know why.
Josh Taylor
was a good fighter.
See, now he did look a little older. Josh Taylor looked bad that fight. Like, I don't want to say.
I mean, but he also made him look bad as well. Like,
he did make him look bad.
Josh Taylor was a champion for a minute. Now Josh Taylor didn't look good the fight before that.
Yeah, when he got the belt,
he did catch him at the right time.
He got the belt back, and Josh Taylor wasn't Josh Taylor.
Yeah. So, but T.O.'s a really good fighter. He
is.
The only thing we always talk about is his footwork and mainly his consistency with his footwork. And that's why I wouldn't give him the edge overall. But I can understand why somebody, especially if you're a fan of his, will believe he's the best all around fighter in that range.
I could believe anybody but Gervonta Davis.
Yeah, Gervonta.
It's crazy. Like, what do you like now? If you get an argument, because anybody else, you could be like, they haven't fought anybody yet. But like,
nah, I would put Haney above as well because of certain things and some his opposition. His opposition is solid as well. I know people try to poo on his, but I'm like, dog, he's fought some really good fights.
Haney had one fight that was close to even against Lomachenko, and I had Lomo in that, but like I still feel like he's a better fight. I feel like
I heard Haney controlled.
We had like multiple debates about that.
Stuff like that.
We had multiple.
It was a close fight though, but I had Haney winning it.
I know most people don't know how to grade body. That could have been something with me because I'm not as well versed as you. But like my thing was like
won the
7 to 12. If you controlling the pace and you beating the guy up, like and it's pretty even in the beginning, like it kind of.
This is what I'm saying. Like everybody's. I didn't feel like he won a definitive. I don't feel like Loma won a definitive round until like that looked clear until like 10 or 11. I don't believe he was controlling 7 through 12 because he lost the 12th round to me. Haney to me won the 12th round.
He did lose the 12th round.
I don't get this whole he won the whole second fight.
I remember I called you after I watched because I feel like I watched it and then you watched it like an hour after.
No, I watched some of it and then I watched the whole thing a week later.
Yeah, I feel like I called you that night like, nigga, this shit was crazy. Like, matter of fact, shout out Kamal, my little cousin, like, yo, we watched that together and I'm like, yo, I called you right after.
I got to the 7th and 8th round. I'm like, so when does Loma start? Like, it was good, tough, close rounds in between, but I'm like, when does he start this ass whipping that everybody's talking about? I wasn't, and then it got to, I think it was the 10th. But he caught him a couple straight lefts and he won that round like very definitively.
That's what a lot of people don't want to admit though. Like, Loma isn't the same Loma he used to be since the T.O. fight.
But he always had his flaws.
He has, but like back then he was excellent fighter. Crazy.
But people have given him
back then before T.O. I was like, yo, nobody could beat this nigga.
You know, I spoke about it. There's an excuse every time Loma wins. Yeah. I mean, every time Loma loses. It's always an excuse, yo.
I ain't gonna lie. I was one of them dudes like back at the barbershop in like 2012. Well, I'm gonna say like 13, 14, 15. Somewhere around that range. I'd be like, yo, when Tank first started knocking niggas out, like professionally, I'm like, yo, yeah, like Loma might be the only one that could do something with my man Tank.
Earlier,
I was saying that shit.
I would have probably.
I was straight up saying that shit. I'm not
because you got to remember Loma at that time. Especially when I was going to some of the fights when he was fighting in DC and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, he was on that shit.
He was a younger fighter, and Loma was in his prime.
Yeah, that nigga.
So, yeah, I would probably favor him, but at any point, yo, Tank, it could be night, yo. But, yeah, that's all I got. You got anything else?
Boxing break again, man.
Break. We got